Hey guys, welcome back to another development update for Matic. We have done a lot of work since the 0.2 alpha release last week. We have given a lot of feedback on the game, so we've been fixing a lot of bugs and adding new features to the game. A lot of the bugs that was in the game was to do with the collision and physics of the game. The first thing that we had to fix was if you were standing on an object while you were picking it up, you would collide with it and fly off and bug out. Go all over the place, as you can see. Now that's not fun. You can't really control where you go, so we didn't want to continue this into the game. Another bug that was in the game was if you was to like throw something off the edge but force one object into another, it would fling off. If I can show you this. See? It flings off into the sky and the objects go everywhere. This also feels really buggy and isn't really how we want the game to work, so we had to get rid of these two things. We had to change some things around with the code for picking up the object to fix all these bugs. So for picking up the object, we set the collision for the pawn to not interact. So if you are a pawn character, you will not collide with this object, but the object will still collide with other objects in the world. This made it so you won't float on the object and fly away and bug out on top of the object. We also wanted to change a few things with the feel of picking up the object. So we set the angular dampening to 10. This made it feel a bit more floaty and like it was in a gravity field while you was picking up the object, because it won't rotate as fast and it will feel like it's a much slower rotation. So we also wanted to add a throw function while we were changing some of the tool functions about. So for this, it is a right-click action button to throw the item once you have it picked up. So it does a lot of the same checks. So it checks if you have the right tool in your hand, and it also checks if the player is holding something. So it gets the forward vector of the player and it times it by, I think that's 50,000, and puts that into a add impulse to that held component, and then it just drops the object like all the other stuff. So this makes it go in the direction you're facing with a force of 50,000. This number is how far the object will go. So if we test this in the game and we pick something up and right click, it forces the object to go forward. And all the collisions and things like that have been set back to normal because the item has dropped like the other way. You can also see that the player does not collide with the object, which has fixed that. And as you can see, that angular dampening has made it feel a lot more like it's in a gravity field. Also, it won't float off. See, it does a little bit, but it doesn't go into the sky. That's what the dividing it by 5 does. Makes the force a lot less. With all the bugs fixed and some code changed, we wanted to add some new features into the game. One of these features was a bucket where you could put items in and they would stay small, so you could take the items to their destination. Now, this isn't perfect. As you can see, all the items did fall out, so there still needs to be a lot of fixing up for this bucket to make it work properly. But as you can see, you can put a lot of items into this bucket, so you can fill up the bucket and then take it over to where it needs to go. This makes the game a lot less tedious and just a little bit more fun to play, and probably make you cleaning the room a bit faster. But as you can see, the blocks go everywhere. To do this, we had to change a lot of the code around to tell when something is scaled and not. So before, when you picked up the item, it would just scale the item that it picked up by a half, so it'd be a little bit smaller, and when you dropped it, it would scale it up, like times the scale by 2 to set it back to normal. But if we done the same thing for this, we have a box collision with this actor, and if something enters that box collision, we first made it shrink, and then when it exited that box collision, we made it a lot bigger. But if you was to let go of the object while it was inside this box collision, it would make it large again, and it wouldn't know to make it smaller. So we had to change the code for the items, which we had to add in Boolean variables to have bucket gravity and just grav mode. Bucket gravity is if the item is in the bucket, this is set to true. If the player is holding the item, grav mode is set to true. This means that if each of these are set to true, then it will scale the item to the smaller scale. And we also have 2 variables here to tell the item what scale it should have. And over here, when the game begins, we set the item scale to the scale factor of the item, so we can reset it back to normal. For the bucket, we just have a component overlap and check if it is a item base, which will be any children of that object, and then setting the bucket grav mode Boolean variable on, and then off when it gets out of the buckets. Another thing that we wanted to add was a halo effect around all the objects if you was looking at them to see if you could pick them up or not. So as you can see, these Lego bricks have a slight halo effect around them, or if you're looking at them to see if you can pick them up or not. And if you go just far enough away to where you can't pick it up, you won't be able to click and pick up the object. But if the halo effect is around the object, you'll be able to pick it up. This does not affect all the objects, as you can see, only the objects that you can pick up. We do have it right now, so if you can pick it up with the hand tool or the mover tool, it will have the halo effect around it. As you can see, I'm on the hand tool right now, and this tub has the halo effect around it, but I can't pick it up because you need to use the mover tool with this. This might change in future updates. We just need to see how people react to this feature and see if they get confused with it or it's understandable to them. This effect was done by a post-processing volume similar to the way that we done the black lines, but instead we needed to check if we was looking at the object by doing a raycast event, and then if they was, set a variable to show this halo effect. And when you're not looking at it, stop showing the halo effect. And we can change the color of this halo effect, and we have it set to a yellowy white right now because it stands out with most of the objects that we have. We have been doing a lot more than just bug fixes. As you can see around the level, there have been a lot more updates with the level, like these pieces of paper with kids' drawings on them. This just brings the world together and makes it more understandable that this is a kid's room. We have also added in over here a pin board with a timer and the score on it. This means that in the game you can chuck something off and you will see that the score will update saying more items have been in the world. Also, if you chuck an item into where it's supposed to be cleaned up, then the score will go down. So you can see your score in game while you're playing to see how well you're doing. We've also set the timer to be there as well. So we will be getting rid of the timer on the HUD. So we will not have any HUD anymore, and it will all be up there. Hopefully this does make sense. We have tried to make it big enough to where it's eye-catching and the player will look over there, but we also don't want it to overpower the room and make it look like it doesn't fit in the room. we also want it to fit. We've also been working on a second level, which a lot of people have been asking for, to have a different level to play around with. So as you can see, the second level is a teenager's desk. It's more of a gamery desk. So we've got a keyboard here, and some of the textures and things like that still need to be updated. We have only just really done this level. So we've got a monitor, a keyboard, mouse, phone, pens, like some other things that we need to put in there. This level, you should be able to do a lot more stuff in it. So as you can see here, we've got a drawer here. So we're probably going to have paper and things like that be put in here. So you chuck all the paper into this drawer so it's out the way and not just chuck it off the world. And there'll be a lot of stuff on this desk that you're going to have to clean up and that. So this level should be really fun to play, and hopefully it can get done soon. The next alpha update for the game will still take a few more weeks to finish, but it will be a massive update by adding another level and should be mostly finished by the update. And a lot more features that aren't in the game yet will be added. We are just starting this update and we have a lot more planned for it. So guys, make sure to subscribe to see another video and give this video a like. Also, if you would like to join our Discord to talk about the game and just other gaming related things, the link will be in the description. See you guys in the next video.